How we doing? 10 of 10. We've arrived understanding the Stevie Kidd pathway. I'm going to point to that book first of all. What has brought me to the Stevie Kidd pathway? 40 years of my life. 40 years of my life for me sharing my soul in this book with evidence of what's brought me to the Stevie Kidd pathway. What's all the successes, what's all the challenges, what's all the falls, what's all the rises that's brought me to this point. What's all the coaches and all the non-execs, all the people that have been around my life that's brought me to this point. But fundamentally, there's one person brought me to this point, and it's me. I could have went through my whole life from the age of 12, and it's in this book. Two things changed my life. One was the Scrooge story, going to the end of life and meeting myself, and I became scared because I did not like who I was going to meet. Where you were trying to condition me, society, in terms of what I was to do, was taking me to not a meaningful life. So I decided at 12 that I would tell the world I'm going this way, and that's what I've done ever since, which has brought me to this stage of the Stevie Kidd pathway journey. So the concept is, what's the three fundamental things that are important to Stevie? Number one, the relationship I have with myself. So that's why the Stevie Kidd pathway is about allowing people to feel safe and facilitate information to self-discovering who they are. A level of acceptance, finding answers to the question of who are you? Fundamentally, number two, being a fantastic husband. Very, very important to me. And that's also what you'll find in the Stevie Kidd pathway. You'll discover a better relationship with yourself, but you'll find a better relationship as a husband or a wife. The other one is parent. The other fundamental part for me, and you see the relationship I have with Ryan, is the father. The identity of being a role model. Fatherhood is a priority for me. Because one of the things of this, even though this part's about business, no business will create my identity. It's not going to happen. So fundamentally, I'm going to tell you what will happen within your business by aligning yourself to the Stevie Kidd pathway. But I will make it clear, we don't promote that then becomes who you are, because that's when things can go wrong. So fundamentally, what happens when you come to me, there's no clear structure or roadmap. So at this stage in the pathway, even though that you may be involved in the endurance events and heading to the endurance events by doing the Scottish event, the Kilimanjaro event and Everest Base Camp, when you get to Everest Base Camp, we will stand back and we'll look back to when you first engaged. But we'll be asking a question of ourselves at Everest Base Camp, which is, how far can you go? Which we will be there next May. We'll be in Kilimanjaro this June again, and then we'll be in Everest Base Camp next May. But the question will be, how far could you actually go? And the question we always fundamentally put to people is, what if you never engaged? What if you never took action? What if you never entered into personal or professional growth? What could the end have looked like? And then what impact would that have had on all your friends and family around about you? Because engaging with the Stevie Kidd pathway stimulates. You have a stimulus that your energy changes, your story changes, what you were born to do starts to come alive, but then it has an impact on all your family and friends around you, which then has an impact on what they choose to do with their life, so it's a ripple effect. So the concept of your business, you would have a board structure, and I'm only telling you what's happened in the last so many years of what I see. People of all different shapes and sizes and businesses come to me, but what we do fundamentally is the principles of business is the same. We look at what you're managing and measuring. You can't measure what you're not managing. So the concept of looking at the boardroom structure, first of all, what's the structure? Are you working in it? Are you working on it? Then fundamentally what happens in the Stevie Kidd pathway at this point is you would have a board structure. You would have smarter people in the room than you. You may have built up a period of 2, 3, 4, 5 individuals who create your board, but now you've got a roadmap. So now you've got a board structure, now you've got a clear roadmap that goes on for 1, 3, 5 to 10 years. We now have projections and budgets. We now have a financial strategy. We now have proper financial management reporting. We now potentially having a good, fantastic accountant. We have a fantastic CFO. We have a fantastic internal financial manager, and we're managing and measuring everything. We've now got a clear customer database from who is our potential customer. We now have customers that we weren't even thinking about. But based upon what our product is, we've challenged ourselves to look at what is a product. And now we're looking at brand champion status. We're now modelling and measuring ourselves against the best in the world. That's who we're measuring against, because that's the bar. because we've raised our standards, not personally, but we've also raised our standards and how we're going to model excellence within the business. Then you start to look at people strategy and marketing strategy, and within the people strategy, you're looking at recruitment strategy. Then you're starting to look at all your processes and systems across your business. So now you've got your business strategy, people strategy, marketing strategy, finance strategy. You've got a clear defined roadmap. You're looking at a £300 to £1,000, 1,000% of increase in growth. The concept of the pathway is that the average growth of a company is anything between 500 to 1,000. Now you're starting to look in 5 and 10 year chunks. Now you're potentially even looking at exit strategy. Now think about it, when you first came to me, you couldn't even see by the end of the day or next week in some cases. Now all of a sudden we can see the exit. And it's the more that you focus that way and less that way, your world changes. We've just gave you a set of tools. The concept of Stevie Kidd growing up in his life and being an entrepreneur and being developed by entrepreneurs, but at the same time throwing himself into neuroscience under 5 psychologists, but the main one being Tony Robbins and Dr. Richard Bandler. This has created a toolkit in here. So when people come to me, that's why we look at the personal growth, we look at the professional growth, we look at brain mapping, we look at profiling, we look at the life wheel, we look at where you're living emotionally, and we change the whole structure of where you are. But at the beginning, for the first 3 months, we take a base, we take a health check and guess this is where you are. Now we have a reality of where you are. Now let's put the reality into place by mapping out where you want to go, but understanding and self-discovering along the way. And the whole concept of what your destination is, legacy, your meaning to life has changed. You want more. You know you can be more. You know you will be more. You know you will be the example now, and you will lead by example. But the whole concept of this happens under one circumstance. You do the work. Are you willing to do the work? That's why that book was written. That book was written to give you 40 years of evidence to prove the concept of that I have done the work. It will change your life, but I can't do it for you. I hope that helped you get some sort of clarity based upon what happens in the Stevie Kidd pathway. I think, as Richard said to me, Stevie, away and get busy, son. You have now reached your destination where you have reached a milestone of freedom, happiness, fulfillment, purpose. Now go and share your knowledge with the world, and that's what I will continue to do to the end of life. Look in the mirror and ask yourself a question. Who am I? What do I want? How do I know what I've got, what I want? Am I leading my life by purpose? And what is the fundamental one thing, one step that I have to take today that's going to change the quality of my life? And what stops you from doing it? Hope that helps. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful month, a wonderful year, and a wonderful life.